I got invited to Buckingham Palace to meet the king. And I want to share some things with you that you probably don't know, as well as my experience. So I'm going to share with you some of my day on the way to the palace, and also why I got invited, what happens when you go into the palace, what King Charles said to me, how I got to speak to Prince William and did something nobody else did, how I took my shot, who else I spoke to, and my overall experience and the things I found crazy about the day. So why did I get invited? Well, the loyal subscribers of this channel know that I run a health and well-being business. And many years ago, I signed up to the Prince's Trust business program, which helped me along my business journey. And I'm now an ambassador for the Prince's Trust. And who founded the organization in 1976? King Charles himself. Of course, he was Prince back then. Now, on March 13th, it was Commonwealth Day, and a few of us from the Prince's Trust were invited to the Commonwealth reception at Buckingham Palace. So we all met up before and made our way there. We're here just waiting for the taxi to go to Buckingham Palace.
Been a long wait, but we're here.
Are you excited?
Very. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be
Is anyone
excited?
Very excited. Anyone else?
Very excited. Lovely.
Are you excited? Right. Do you want to share some words?
I hope I look okay.
You look amazing.
As we approach Buckingham Palace, we have to show our invitations to the police officers to get past the barriers so that we can get to the front gate of Buckingham Palace.
Everybody get your tickets out, let's go.
On it. VIP. I can't lie, it feels kind of cool being this side of the barriers.
Hey guys, so we're outside Buckingham Palace today, and we're going to meet our homeboy, the King Charles. Yeah, join us along. Thanks for joining us on the vlog. Subscribe.
The tickets were on a yellow card, and we needed to show our ID to prove that we are who we say we are. There were those police officers with big guns, which is always pretty crazy to see in England. But once you showed your ticket and ID to them, they let you into the grounds of Buckingham Palace.
We're inside now, excited, a little bit nervous, but feeling good, can't wait.
Now, before we actually went into the palace, we had to wait outside for a while, so we decided to just chill and take some pictures. And then we just talked with each other until we were told to go in. Once we were invited, we started walking. So you go through this arch bit, and then you get to the back, which is like a car park type area. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's where the coach is pulled into. Then you go up towards the entrance, and as you get there, you're told to stop recording. No cameras allowed inside. You're also pointed in the direction of the cloakroom, where there are lots of staff to take your coat and your phones and your cameras, but the process was nice and smooth. Not like those cloakrooms you get in the nightclubs or the bars that you have to wait ages for. And there are lots of signs telling you to leave your phone and your cameras in the cloakroom. And you're assured by the staff that they'll be there the whole time and nothing will get stolen. After this, we headed up the stairs. By the way, there's red carpet everywhere. As we were going up the red carpeted stairs, there were a group of Samoans singing songs. And then you get to the first floor where you give your ticket in and collect your name badge. Now this is important, remember that. Then we headed into the room where the reception took place, which was the art gallery. Now, if you're into art, you would have loved it. There's pictures all over the wall, some of the rarest paintings in the world. As you walk in as well, there's waiters and waitresses waiting with lots of drinks to provide. I believe there was champagne, wine, elderflower, apple juice. I stuck with apple juice. Now, as the businessman that I am, I started looking around the room to see who I could network with and started walking around the busy room. But most people were already in deep conversation. And this is where I got lucky. See, I had drifted towards one end of the room, and it happened to be the end of the room where King Charles came in. The king was talking with different people as he came in, and I was wondering how it all was going to work. I had no idea what the process was. Do I just try and get his attention? Do I just go up to him and say something? Or do I just wait and maybe he'll come up to me? And if I do talk to him, what am I even gonna say? That That's when his equerry comes over to me. Prior to this, I had no idea what an equerry was. And some of you might not either. But an equerry is kind of like a personal assistant, a royal personal assistant, but also kind of like a bodyguard too. One of the king's equerries came over to me and said,
"Just wait here and the king will come over."
I was quite shocked, but I stood there with my fellow ambassadors, and then the king turned to me and shook my hand. I thanked him for setting up the Prince's Trust and mentioned that it had helped me on my business journey. And he said,
"Oh, it's done some good then. I'm pleased it's helped. That's what I hoped for when I set it up."
Then he turned to the others and asked them what they did with the Prince's Trust, and then he moved on. But that's not the end of my evening, because I also spoke with Prince William and a few other royals. And when I spoke to Prince William, I did something nobody else did. Here's what happened. As I put my business hat back on, I started to walk around the room again. And then I kind of suddenly found myself near Prince William. He was talking to people, and it looked like there were so many people waiting to talk to him. So I kind of just stood around not knowing what to do with myself. Then I saw this man looking very official in black royal clothing, but he didn't have a name badge. So I asked him, "Where's your name badge, bruv?" Okay, I didn't say bruv, but I did ask him in a jokingly way. He smiled and chuckled to himself and said, "Oh, me? I don't need a name badge." He then asked my name and who I was there with. So I told him and then asked him what his name was. He told me his name was Rob, and Rob and I continued to chat. At the start of our conversation, I had no idea who Rob was. He was friendly, genuine, had a little bit of banter, but Rob is the equerry to Prince William. He was standing far enough away from the prince as to not interfere with anything, but close enough that if he needed to intervene at any point, he could quickly do so. As Rob and I continued to chat, he asked if I wanted to talk to Prince William. I said it would be nice to say hi, but I know there's a lot of people waiting to speak to him. See, the room was full of representatives of countries all across the Commonwealth, and they all wanted to speak to him. But Rob said, "Don't worry, I'll guide him over here and introduce you." As Rob guided Prince William over to me, he personally introduced me. "This is Tyler. He's an ambassador of the Prince's Trust." Prince William shook my hand and said,
"Oh, really? What did you do with the trust?"
I told him that I did the Business Enterprise program, and then he asked me what my business was. I said, "I help companies support the health and well-being of their employees. I deliver well-being webinars, well-being workshops. I've got a small team of corporate chair massage therapists as well." Then I did the unthinkable. I said, "I know there's a lot of people waiting to talk to you, so thank you for your time, and it was nice to meet you." And then I walked off. Everyone was trying to talk to the prince and have deep conversations, and there was me, short and sweet. Now, there were two main reasons for this. Firstly, I actually felt compassion towards the prince. He had to talk to so many people. He had to look engaged, pretend like he was interested, even if he wasn't. It must be so exhausting, and it must have been so exhausting for him. And I didn't want to add to that stress. But secondly, how do you make an impression on someone that talks to so many different people? Well, you do something that nobody else does. Prince William looked slightly shocked when I thanked him for his time and kept it moving. But that's how we roll. I don't want to waste his time. I said what I needed to and kept it moving. Now, directly after this, I thought I'd shoot my shot. As I walked away from Prince William, my main man Rob said to me, "You're my favorite of the day." See, me and my guy Rob had built up a level of respect towards each other. So as I walked away, I turned back to Rob and said, "Rob, can I give you a business card?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." I gave him the card and said, "You just never know." And he smiled, and that was the end of our encounter. But you really do just never know. And I don't know when, I don't know how, but I think I'll meet Prince William again, and we can have a proper chat the next time we meet. Am I crazy to think this? Maybe. But last year, when I came an ambassador for the Prince's Trust, I said to my mum, "Mum, I think I'm gonna meet the king." I had no idea if I was ever gonna meet the king, but I put that out there into the atmosphere. And look at that, I met the king. So if you see this, Prince William, I look forward to a proper chat the next time we meet. As the evening went on, my fellow ambassadors and I spoke to Prince Edward, who seemed polite, and we spoke to his wife Sophie, who seemed like a very nice lady, very engaged, and used a lot of her time to chat with us all and ask us all questions. Princess Anne was there as well, who I didn't speak to, as well as Camilla, who I didn't even see, to be honest. There were a few other familiar faces there as well. Now, there were a few things that I found crazy about my experience. The first thing was that we didn't even get searched when we went into the palace. I'm going to big Buckingham Palace to see King Charles, and they're not even searching me. Maybe I'm just traumatized from my days visiting the nightclubs or my teenage years where I would randomly get searched by the police. But it turns out they do a deep dive investigation into everyone that gets an invitation to the palace. So they've probably been on my computer, seen my browsing history, and realized I'm not a threat. And when I was speaking to my man Rob, I asked him about this, and he said the fact that I got an invite shows that I'm not a threat. And he said your invite is your search. Now, I also thought inside would be mind-blowing. Now, don't get me wrong, it was nice inside. Well maintained, very elegant, but if you've been to any bougie hotels or 5-star resorts, you wouldn't have thought it was mind-blowing either. I also found it crazy that some people were taking pictures when they weren't supposed to. You were supposed to hand your phones in, but some people didn't, and they were taking pictures upstairs. And even though the staff would tell them not to if they caught anyone, there was no punishment or anything for doing so. I thought this would have been enforced a bit more. But when I left and got my phone back while I was still in the palace, I thought I'd take a cheeky selfie just before I left.
Goodbye, Buckingham Palace. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Overall, it was a great experience, a story for my future grandkids, and this all came because of the Prince's Trust. And last year, I became the face of King Charles's charity cycle with the Prince's Trust. And to see how I got on that cycle, you need to watch this video here. Now, I also want to add, we all bleed red, all of our stinks, and as amazing it was to meet the King and Prince William, it's important to remember that we're all human beings. Like and subscribe. Peace and love.